Good evening. Thanks a lot for staying with us here at CNN News 18. You're watching The Right Stand with me, Ridhima Bhatnagar. The External Affairs Minister, Dr. Jaishankar, has minced no words over the 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks. The minister has said that the task of bringing the perpetrators of the terror attack still remains unfinished, as the main perpetrators of this ghastly terror attack continue to remain protected by Pakistan. Dr. Jaishankar has also further added that while one of the terrorists was in fact captured alive, prosecuted and then convicted by the highest court here in India, the key conspirators continue to remain unpunished. This was part of the UNSC special meeting of Counter-Terrorism meeting at Mumbai's Hotel Taj Mahal Palace, which, remember, was the center of the 26/11 terror attack. The question today is, for how long can Pakistan go unchecked? For how long can the victims of the 26/11 terror attack not have closure? And more importantly, for how long can China continue to support Pakistan in its nefarious deeds?
We have endeavored to bring the masterminds and the perpetrators of this attack to justice. This task remains unfinished. Therefore, the coming together of the UNSC's Counter-Terrorism Committee to this venue is both special.
As we mark 14 years since the horrific attacks of November 26th, we join people in India and around the world in mourning the lives lost.
So as the External Affairs Minister, Dr. Jaishankar, today said that 14 years on, getting the victims of the 26/11 terror attack is still an unfinished business. And this is simply because of the protection that these terrorists continue to get from Pakistan. What I'm now going to bring to you are the tall promises that have been made by Pakistan, but the stark difference that we see in the ground reality. One of the first promises that was made by Pakistan was that they will be prosecuting the 26/11 attack perpetrators. But what is the reality? Terrorists from the elite like Hafiz Saeed and Lakhvi have been jailed on terror financing charge in 2020 and 2021 after the FATF's action. But here is the blatant lie that has been peddled by Pakistan. When Hafiz Saeed and Lakhvi, they were not convicted for specific militant attack or the 26/11 terror attack. Another promise that was made by Pakistan, that there will be no anti-India terror activity in Pakistan. But what is the reality? Terror attacks continue in India. Let me give you some examples. 2019, Pulwama. 2013, Srinagar. 2016, Pampore, as well as Pathankot. Now, these are aided by ISI and the Pak Army. The designation of the 26/11 perpetrators, Sajid Mir as global terrorist by UN with China's help. Another promise that was made was that we will examine the ISI's involvement as far as the 26/11 terror attack is concerned. But the reality is there is no action despite the US confirming the ISI's role. And lastly, there has been a promise to provide voice samples of 8 of the accused as far as the 26/11 terror attack is concerned. But the reality is that still remains unfulfilled. That has been promised, but as I said, there is a big lag in these promises and what the ground reality reflects. But today there's another challenge for India. Considering the fact that we've seen Pakistan now move out of the FATF's grey list, that becomes a new challenge for India. And the reason that I'm saying this is because now there'll be a lack of international pressure, which will actually embolden terror infrastructure as far as Pakistan is concerned. Pak-based terror and propaganda in the valley could intensify. We've already seen some attempts that have been thwarted by our security officials. The challenge now for India is that India is now going to be dependent on foreign bodies to actively monitor Pakistan. Will that actually take place, considering the fact it was the West that wanted Pakistan out of the FATF's grey list? The pressure is now on India to muster diplomatic resources to counter Pakistan. And lastly, there is more pressure on India to expose Pakistan's terror on the global stage as well. But before I bring in our guest to really talk about what has caused the delay in the last 14 years, every time we speak about the 26/11 terror attacks, we speak about measures that can be taken by India or what can be done on the global stage to mount pressure on Pakistan. What we often forget is how lives of many changed that night. Joining me now on the broadcast is Devika. She has been a victim of the 26/11 terror attack and she was just 9 years old when the attack happened. देविका, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद हमसे बात करने के लिए और हमसे जुड़ने के लिए। मुझे पता है ये आसान नहीं है, 14 साल हो चुके हैं इस बात के लिए, बट क्या आप हमारे दर्शकों को बता सकती हैं उस दिन के बारे में? क्या हुआ था उस दिन, आप कहां पर थी और आपने क्या देखा?
वो दिन तो मुझे हमेशा याद रहता है। 26/11/2008 की रात में मेरे फैमिली के साथ, मेरे पापा, मेरे भाई और मैं, हम तीनों पूना जाने वाले थे। हम सीएसटी स्टेशन पहुंचते, वहाँ बैठते, उतने में एक बॉम्ब स्पॉट होता है, गोली फायरिंग होने लगती है, लोग भागने लग जाते हैं। मेरे भाई भी अलग डायरेक्शन में भाग चुके होते हैं। मैं और मेरे पापा भागने की कोशिश करते तो कसाब की गोली आके मेरे राइट पैर में लग जाती है। वहाँ लोग गिर रहे थे, किसी को सर पे गोली लग रही है, किसी को हाथ पे, किसी के पैर पे। मुझे समझ नहीं आ रहा था कि आखिर वहाँ क्या हो रहा है। मैं एक शख्स को देखती हूँ जिसके हाथ में बड़ी सी गन है, वो अंधाधुंध गोली फायरिंग कर रहा है। उसकी एक गोली आके मेरे राइट पैर में लग चुकी है। मुझे पता नहीं चल रहा था। तब मेरी उम्र 9 साल 11 महीने की थी। वहाँ से मुझे हॉस्पिटल लेके गए। हॉस्पिटल में मुझे होश आया। वहाँ करीबन मेरा 6 ऑपरेशन हुआ। मेरे पैर से गोली निकाला गया, मेरे पैर की हड्डी टूट चुकी थी। मुझे जे हॉस्पिटल लेके गए।
जी देविका, जैसे मैंने बोला, ये 14 साल ना आपके लिए ना आपके परिवार के लिए आसान रहे होंगे। आपकी जिंदगी कैसे चेंज हो गई है इन 14 सालों में?
14 सालों में बहुत सारे प्रॉब्लम फेस किया मैंने। जो पहले की लाइफ थी 26/11 की, वो डिफरेंट थी, और 26/11 के बाद की लाइफ डिफरेंट हो गई। हाँ, तभी से मैंने एक सपना भी देखा कि मैं एक पढ़ लिखी IPS ऑफिसर बनना चाहती हूँ और पूरे टेररिज्म को खत्म करना चाहती हूँ और अपने देश के लिए कुछ करना चाहती हूँ।
जैसे आपने कहा देविका कि आप खुद एक IPS ऑफिसर बनना चाहती हैं, आप टेररिज्म खत्म करना चाहती हैं, आगे के क्या प्लान्स हैं आपके लिए?
यही तो हमारी एक दर्द है अभी तक कि कसाब को फांसी दे दिया, इंसाफ मिला है, बट जो मास्टरमाइंड है जिसने कसाब को भेजा, जो कसाब लोग जैसा वो पैदा कर रहा है, जो आतंकवाद पाल रहा है, आतंकवाद को बढ़ावा दे रहा है, आज तक वो खत्म नहीं हुआ है। जब तक मास्टरमाइंड खत्म नहीं होगा तब तक हमें इंसाफ पूरा नहीं मिलेगा।
जी, तो क्या आज आपको लगता है इन 14 साल गुजरने के बाद थोड़ी सी क्या निराशा है कि आपको एक क्लोजर नहीं मिल पाया है?
गुस्सा है मुझे इस चीज की, नाराजगी, इस चीज का दर्द है। मैं ही नहीं, कई लोगों को अभी तक इंसाफ नहीं मिला। जो ऑफिसर शहीद हुए उन लोगों को भी श्रद्धांजलि तब सच्ची मिली जाएगी जब ये आतंकवाद पूरा खत्म होगा। जो मास्टरमाइंड आतंकवादी को भेजा, 10 आतंकवादी मुंबई शहर में आए, इतना बड़ा हमला हुआ, वो 10 में से 10 तो मारे गए, बट अब भी जो मास्टरमाइंड है जिसने भेजा वो खत्म नहीं हुआ। आज भी ना जाने वो कोई प्लानिंग कर रहा होगा, क्या पता उसके मन में क्या चल रहा हो, कहीं फिर कोई हमला हो जाए, फिर कोई 26/11 जैसे हो गया तो फिर क्या होगा। क्या गारंटी लेते हैं कोई कि 26/11 जैसा हमला फिर कभी नहीं हो सकता है, क्योंकि आतंकवाद तो अब तक खत्म नहीं हुआ है। मास्टरमाइंड तो आज भी जिंदा है। वो ना जाने कसाब, अब्बू इस्माइल और जैसे जो 10 आतंकवादी भेजे थे वैसे ही आतंकवाद को बढ़ा रहा हो, हमारे बारे में भड़का रहा होगा। तो
जी देविका, एक चीज़ मैं और समझना चाहती हूँ, आज जिस तरह का फोरम हुआ है मुंबई में, जिस तरह के कमेंट्स हमने सुने हैं एक्सटर्नल अफेयर्स मिनिस्टर से, एक काफ़ी प्रेशर बिल्ड हो रहा है पाकिस्तान पर। आपकी क्या डिमांड रहती है?
मेरी डिमांड यही है कि मेन जो मास्टरमाइंड है उसे जल्द से जल्द खत्म करना चाहिए। वैसे आतंकवाद सिर्फ फांसी हो, वैसे आतंकवाद को तो हमें पूरा इंसाफ मिला जाएगा।
जी देविका, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद हमसे बात करने के लिए। So the question that we're asking then this evening is, 14 years on, will Pakistan masterminds will actually be punished or not? Let me also now bring in our guest to take this conversation forward. We have former Secretary of the MEA, Pinakranjan Chakravarti. We have former DG of Infantry, Lieutenant General retired Sanjay Kulkarni. We also have the Associate Fellow at Manohar Parikar IDSA, Dr. Swasti Rao. And we also have Senior Park Journalist Hamid Khan. Good to have all of you on the broadcast with us. Pinak sir, I want to begin the conversation with you. 14 years on, today the External Affairs Minister, yes, has sent out an extremely strong message that there will be a closure because this is an unfinished business. But how does India ensure that what has not happened in the last 14 years will happen now?
Well, we have a long way to go because geopolitics generally trumps all the efforts that we and the world has put in to get these culprits to book. Problem is that Pakistan, being the breeding ground of terrorists, under the patronage of the state, particularly the army, is the problem, basically. And now, of course, geopolitics has dictated that Pakistan is taken off the FATF list, which means that whenever the pressure is on Pakistan, it somehow manages to wriggle out. I must say, Pakistan has been successful in doing that. But why does it happen? Because Pakistan serves a purpose for those who release the pressure, particularly America and the West, and of course China. China is of course in cahoots with Pakistan, and those who support Pakistan actually support terrorism in some ways. So that is the problem. But we will have to deal with it in our own way. We'll have to use whatever tools that we have, and diplomacy is one. But diplomacy is not perhaps going to get us much results. Because when geopolitics comes in the way, Pakistan's usefulness to certain countries like USA surfaces. And that is why you see them off the FATF list. You see the package of weaponry and the support spares, etc., being given to Pakistan. This is basically sending India a message that you are not with us because you are, standing by Russia, and Russia is our enemy. It's the same old, argument that we have heard before. If Trump would have stopped the spares and all this package that the Biden administration is giving to Pakistan, what is the reason for Biden to change that? Yeah. Is it internal politics or is it something else that I have just stated? True. That is to send a message to India. And I think we will have to fight alone, right? And there's no doubt about it. We'll have to build up our resources, and we have to ensure that Pakistan understands that there will be blowback, and there will be things happening in Pakistan which they will also not like. I think that's the only message that we can send.
General Kulkarni, do you agree with the point that Pinakranjan Chakravarti is making, that enough time has been given? If you begin believing every promise that has been made by Pakistan, then in the next 14 years also we'll be discussing something similar. The reason I started the show with the reality check is because it gives us a sense as far as the intent of Pakistan is concerned. If there was intent, we would have already seen it happen 14 years ago.
We've been only talking about, probably the world seems to think that terror and all of it has come after 9/11. It isn't so. Pakistan, which is the hub of terrorism, even before independence, even before the 15th of August, when in June the declaration was to be made that India would be divided between Pakistan and India, there was a conference being held at 10 Aurangzeb Lane, where Jinnah was staying, where all the officers of the Pakistan army were to join them, got together as to how they would go about taking Kashmir. And they used all of these techniques. There is no denying the fact. And so much so, when Pakistan gifted Shaksgam Valley to China, Chaman Lai told Ayub Khan, the only low-cost way to invest is terrorism into India if you want to take a badla from India. Otherwise, there's no way you can tackle India. And that is where you can well imagine. All of it we talk about is because we have short memories. Pakistan is the hub of terrorism. Pakistan has been using terrorism as an instrument of state policy. The very fact that Pakistan will continue to bleed India with 1,000 cuts, there is no denying the fact. We have to ensure all these new technology. Imagine a total support, China advising Pakistan how it should tackle India, and also political support till date. You have Masood Azhar's brother being depended politically by China, and now you can.
And we saw that bid being blocked by China just 2 weeks ago.
Everything you find, Hafiz Saeed, all masterminds, everything. Pakistan will do what it is destined to do, and they will continue to do that. We have to ensure today we have the capacity, we have the capability, we have the political will, and we must target without fail. We must not be worried about. It is our war. We are concerned with terrorism. This is a part of the hybrid warfare which is being launched. We have to be very careful. China wants to see that India remains in a flux in South Asia. We have to ensure that we have to compete. We have to get to that place. Today we have that will. We will do it, and we should do it. We should not hesitate. We are not a soft power. We have all the capabilities to handle it and be wherever it is, be it in Kashmir or be it in the northeast or wherever it decides. If we have adversaries which are going to spread terror into India, we must be able to strike back with the same purpose and the same determination and be able to convey irrespective. Do not expect anything from Pakistan.
Something similar that Pinakanjan Chakrabarti was also saying, that you will have to devise a way. You probably will have to get more aggressive. You will have to find new methods to hurt them where it hurts the most. But Hamid Khan, I want to bring you in. For how long can Pakistan continue with the charade of there is no terror activity happening, we're not giving any shelter? Today, Sajid Mir's audio clip was played as far as this forum is concerned. What more evidence is needed?
Thank you very much. I mean, I'm very surprised from your government officials when they play, unconfirmed audios while they cannot see the videos of Kulbhushan Jadhav admitting all the terrorism doing in Pakistan, in Balochistan, in infiltration from Iran and all the innocents which Kulbhushan Jadhav and his companions killed in Pakistan. I would be very happy if you would have called somebody from Pakistan who's been victim of terrorism by RAW and Indian terrorist agencies. And you will be very much surprised at how many operations or how many terrorist activities been done by the Indian RAW. And Kulbhushan Jadhav is one of the prime example of that. You need to understand that it is, if you want to talk about terrorism, then terrorism started from the murder of the Gandhiji, when Gandhi killed Gandhiji, and RSS became the world's first terrorist organization. Why don't you look at your past and understand the reality that this is the RSS who has started the terrorism in the subcontinent? And if you want to tackle the terrorism, there is only one way, and that is to resolve the issue. And the issue of the Kashmir is on the prime list. That the issue, Kashmir issue, should be resolved with the will of the people of Kashmir. 8 million people are hostages.
No, Kashmir is not your issue to resolve, sir. You tell me about the issue that we're discussing at hand. When I started, I listed out certain promises and the reality on the ground. I want a clear answer. I want a clear answer as far as the action that we saw around Hafiz Saeed and Lakhvi. I want to understand why were they not convicted for the specific militant attacks or for the terror attack of 26/11?
There is no evidence of them involvement in any Mumbai attacks. They had some other charges. They were behind the bars, but there were no evidence of them involving in the Mumbai attacks. That evidence we don't have. Pakistan's been keep requesting from India. India never provided any evidence. If you want to face the reality is that India do very good propaganda, but unfortunately India has failed to provide any evidence. And if you talk about Ajmal Kasab and others, if you see the way he speaks, it's pure Indian way. Nobody in Pakistan or Punjab speaks Hindi like that. It is very simple litmus test which you need to do it. Anybody can understand that where is he belong to actually. And I will say that if you want to have a real fight with the terrorism, or if you want to have a real test, then please go into your own cities and centers where RSS groups... Sir,
I thought I'll give you an open opportunity and we will have some sort of, mature answer from you. We'll at least have an intent to, solidify the fact that there will be an investigation. But with the kind of answers that I've just heard from you over the last couple of minutes, it's very clear, as I said when I started the show, there is absolutely no intent. Dr. Swasti Rai, I want to bring you in as well. Just look at the kind of answers that we are getting. And this is not just a Pakistan problem today. it is being solidified by the kind of support it is getting from China. My only issue is when we talk about Pakistan and the nexus between Pakistan and China, why do we shy away from naming China on a public platform?
Good evening, Pradhima. And well, yes, thank you for inviting. I was just listening to all the points that were being made by our Pakistani guest. And yes, what a disappointment. There is no discussion. It's like we are existing in different universes. They are existing in a universe of denial. And it's very difficult to have a discussion. As I want to make 4 quick points, okay? So let me just finish my points, sir. I want to make 4 quick points. The first thing is that you have to understand what is this entire FATF working style. And, the panelists, our side, and especially Mr. Chakrabarti, brought out that there are certain geopolitical reasons as to why Pakistan finds itself out of FATF. Let's also understand that FATF is basically the G7 heads of the state and the president of the European Commission and some other countries that have come together to sort of recognize the threat which is posed to the banking system and financial institutions by terror financing, etc. And also let's understand that Pakistan, with the kind of economic emergencies that it was going through, it had become another kind of a problem had they remained in the grey list because of how what kind of a governance actually exists in Pakistan. So that might have a geopolitical equation. That's one. The second thing that we have to keep in mind is that it could be, and it does smack off, a kind of the Western world's balancing or cutting India down to size for having an independent foreign policy when it comes to Ukraine and not really taking the sides that they want to take us. Okay, so this
absolutely.
Is another.
It was actually the intentions of the West that wanted the Pakistan out of the FATF list. Considering the fact that India kept on demanding that there needs to be a measure to try and monitor the terror activities.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's what I'm trying to say. So basically, it is again a reiteration of the fact that we need to develop and design the important conversations for us in our way. Okay, it is a reiteration. The United Nations is not going to help us. And the third thing about China, you see, what do you really expect from a United Nations? What do you expect from, say, for example, a SCO? SCO has the regional anti-terrorist structure, which is called the RATS, which is a permanent body. I mean, what does India get from there? Pakistan is a member there. China is a member there. It helps China to sort of check terrorism in their, so to say, in Xinjiang region, etc. But how does it help India? You look at United Nations, every single time there is a joint proposal by India and the United States, China thwarts this anti-terrorism efforts, okay? And when they are asked for reason, for example, this especially this Sajid Mir, case, when the Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson, I think Mao Ning at that time, she really could not give any reason as to why did China block it, nor could she say anything on whether this proposal violated any rule or procedure of the 1267 Committee of the United Nations Security Council, under which Mir was proposed to be declared as a global terrorist, okay, and subject to asset freeze. So whatever our Pakistani guest is saying, I think one should really, if really it is a matter of confidence and a kind of a self-righteousness, why is your all-weather ally not just coming up with a convincing answer as to why would they block it, other than just containing India and sort of in our own sort of sphere.
I know Hamid wants to come in. Hamid, I'll let you come in for a quick 30 seconds and then I want to go back to Pinak Ranjan Chakrabarti. Hamid.
I just want to say that I can understand the disappointment of India that Pakistan being out of their list of FATF despite of their all, I should say, cunning efforts to keep Pakistan in trouble. But Pakistan eventually have made their efforts that Pakistan is in white list. I would understand the disappointment, but I am very sad at the same time that once.
So the disappointment wasn't for anybody but for Pakistan, with the kind of embarrassment that it got on a global platform and the desperate bids it made to try get itself off the list over the last couple of years. India had no joy or unhappiness with that. That embarrassment was all yours. But Pinak Ranjan Chakrabarti, I want to understand another aspect from you, which is taking on from the conversation that we were having of Pakistan coming out of the FATF's grey list. How challenging does it now become for India going forward?
Well, let me first begin by saying that I didn't expect our Pakistani guest to say anything but what he said, because as you know, one of their very, very senior journalists who said something against the army was buried today or yesterday. because he had to flee Pakistan, went to Kenya and was murdered there. Anyway, let's keep that aside. But to answer your question as to what we need to do, we need to strengthen ourselves, we need to strengthen our economy, we need to strengthen our military capabilities, we need to strengthen our military outreach capabilities, so that if something like this ever happens again, we should be prepared to take the battle into Pakistan, into Pakistan's heartland, because that is where the battle has to be fought ultimately, because that is where the terrorists are hiding. And Pakistan has been clever in trying to sort of, somehow convicting all these fellows on financial crimes, etc. First putting them under house arrest, and then allowing them a fairly comfortable life in a special safe house, etc. There has even been instances where this Lucknow fellow has fathered a child from his wife, so that you can imagine that life was quite normal and comfortable for these people. I understand that Pakistan's army cannot do anything more. They cannot catch these guys. After all, these are their people.
Yeah.
These are the people they have put up, they have trained, they have created all these Jaishes and Lashkars and all these, whatever names they have. So how can you, if I create somebody who
with
is
what
working
face
for
will you
me,
actually put out proof against them?
How do I put them away?
True. Lieutenant General Kulkarni, we touched upon this a short while ago. I want to talk to you about the nexus as far as Pakistan and China is concerned. On one hand, you have a Pakistan living in denial, and you have a Pakistan which has no intent to try and improve relations with India as far as terrorism is concerned. On the other hand, you already have a very aggressive dragon on the line of actual control. We've seen these multiple rounds of corps commander levels, areas like Gogra and Hot Spring that still continue to be an issue for India. And then you have China supporting Pakistan, trying to block bids as far as these designated terrorists are concerned. Is it today fair to say it is only India's fight today and nobody else's?
I would say yes, to a large extent. It's our battle and we have to fight our battle. There is no denying the fact. Pakistan is not just in a denial mode. Pakistan will continue to do what it is doing because that is what allows it to do and survive. Because the Pakistan army has a $20 billion turnover every year. It doesn't even spend $10 billion, which it borrows, begs from the world over. You have political support to them coming from China. What kind of regimes? It's a one man. Even today, Americans, hypocrisy at the highest level. You can call it a very dangerous nation and be giving it all kinds of arms support, money to whatever way it desires. China gives its political support. China gives its money. So Pakistan is surviving. Pakistan society has been totally radicalized after Ziaul Haq. There is no denying the fact. So there is a complete hatred for India. There is no denying the fact. There is complete enshorement and to wave the way. That is why the need is for collaboration with organizations like the Financial Action Task Force, international cooperation to ensure, because technology also is being used, whether it be cyber, whether it's your cryptocurrency, whether it's your internet or social media, all kinds of relatives across and both sides of the country. So Pakistan is being used, and Pakistan prefers to being used because the kind of economic situation that Pakistan is in,
it
is
course.
so much better than Pakistan
economy, what else
doing.
can you do but take all the support that you're already getting? But to wrap this discussion, Dr. Swasti Rao, I want to understand what should be the way forward. As we said, Pakistan is already out of the FATA list. So how does India continue to maintain pressure? The forum that we saw in Mumbai, forums like these, how important do they become then? Because even though they might not have a direct impact, but at least you keep the pressure on by having these conversations.
Yeah, right, Ridhima. Just two quick points I'd like to make. First is about the nature of what is happening in Pakistan. Let's also remember as to why suddenly is Pakistan getting all the attention that it is getting from the US. Let's also sort of revise that during the Imran Khan years there was this clear disjunct between US and Pakistan, and he was clearly more pro Saudi Arabia, etc. Okay, and now with him gone and the military back in terms of controlling, calling the shots in Pakistan.
Okay.
It's very clear that that's military's way of trying and please their old, so to say, masters in the US, and the US is also reciprocating. That's one, and it's also trying to do that to balance India. Now, as to what really should be done, I think both the commentators from our side have made very valuable comments that, see, it is India's battle. We are alone in fighting that battle. Yeah. It is very unrealistic to expect anything out of, especially United Nations Security Council.
Agree with the point that you're making, Dr. Swasti Rai. I apologize because I've completely run out of time, but agree with the point that all the panelists have made. You need to be more aggressive. You need to keep the ball rolling. Because at the end of the day, it is India's fight to finish that unfinished business 14 years on. I'd like to thank all our guests. We're slipping into a very short break, but don't go anywhere. When we come back, we talk to you about the takeover of Twitter by Elon Musk.